Tibetan medicine explains that there are three substances that are collectively responsible for your entire physiology, and to boot, they're connected to the mind. Hi, I'm Farah of Tibetan Healing Movement, and today I'm just going to talk briefly about what's called in Tibetan medicine the three humors. So, the three humors, which we can translate into English as wind, bile, and phlegm, are these psychobioenergetic substances. And I have to put all those adjectives in front of it because they really span each of these dimensions. So, psycho, meaning they have a very clear link with the mind, mental states, and emotions. Biological, because they are very much in a physiological, medical way responsible for functions in the body, day-to-day functions like digestion and metabolism and temperature and transport. And then finally, energetic, because they have a certain action that they're each doing. They are an energy, a tendency, an action that's occurring. So the three humors, wind, bile, and phlegm, they're this really beautiful place where they're bridging these different areas as well as bridging the five elements and into the gross physical body. So, wind is composed of the wind element, and it's very much about movement and transportation, and wind has a drying quality as well. Bile, which is associated with fire, has this heat quality, this transformational quality to it. And then finally, phlegm, which is predominantly the water and earth elements, is mostly responsible for moisture and cohesiveness and stability and structure in the body. So, of course, all of those things are equally needed. What's important is the balance between them, right? This is where we get the balance in temperature of the body. Having an optimal temperature in the body is going to optimize the functions of the body. So, in Tibetan medicine, when a disease is first classified, it's first decided whether it's a hot disease or a cold disease. And this already starts to indicate what of the three humors might be out of balance. And then that's the very next thing that's determined. What's happening with the humors? Is one deficient? Is one excessive? And of course, it's the three of them and their relationship to each other that's important. So I like saying in a broad way how these three are responsible for different functions, to first zoom out to their general quality, right? That energetic tendency I was talking about. So the phlegm humor is more about building and growth and anabolic functions. And it's actually stronger in the early years of our life, 0 to 25, let's say. So they're growing, and there's a lot of moisture, and you think of babies, and they're always got drool and dripping and everything, and they're plump and fresh. So that's strong phlegm humor. And then we have bile, and bile is more like metabolic, right? This is our fire, it's transformation, it's changing one thing into another, like digesting and separating the nutrients from the waste, chemical reactions, these kinds of things. And then this is more strong in the middle part of our life, from let's say 25 to 50. And then finally, we have the wind humor. Wind is it's more of a drying quality. This is catabolic. It's about breaking things down. Now, again, these are generalizations. Each of these three humors, it goes much more deep than what I'm saying here. There's 5 of each type. They have very specific functions, each of them, locations in the body, and they're all interacting with each other all the time. But I like this kind of zoomed out picture of the anabolic, metabolic, and catabolic approach to understanding the 3 humors, because then we can really understand how they each have a tendency, but that it's all necessary. And then I had talked about how these humors are also a bridge with the mind and emotions. This is a beautiful, beautiful quality about Tibetan medicine that I really appreciate, is this fundamental understanding of how the body and the mind are so deeply interconnected. They're either friends and supporting each other, that the health of one is helping to stabilize the health of the other. The healthier your body, the easier it is to be happy in your mind. And vice versa. If one of them is suffering, it can bring down and bring suffering to the other as well. So having depression, or just a lack of happiness, can also have a negative influence on the body and make us more susceptible to disease. So Tibetan medicine gets much more specific about this, particularly in relationship with these 3 humors. So the 3 humors are each associated with one of the 3 buckets of negative emotions. And we call these the mental poisons. So what these are anger, attachment, and ignorance. So each of the 3 humors is associated with one of these. So, for example, anger, you might guess, is associated with bile, right? So this is the heat quality, but not in a balanced way. So what this means is that if you have a lot of anger, this can throw off the bile humor, right? It can cause it to go out of balance, become excessive, and just throw things out of whack, and thereby set the conditions for developing a disease, perhaps a liver disease, for example. Or it can go the other way around, perhaps for another reason, an injury or wrong diet, wrong movement, you've developed a liver imbalance, and one of the symptoms of that could be more susceptibility to anger. And to complete with the other 2, wind humor is associated with attachment, and the phlegm humor is associated with ignorance. So this is a really valuable thing to understand. These humors, these psychobioenergetic substances that are very medical, in a real way responsible for functions in the body, but they have this very close relationship to your emotions. And when you have these negative emotions, it throws the humors out of balance, thereby creating conditions for disease. So there are many things more to say about the humors. I mean, it's one of the key aspects of Tibetan medicine. So of course it's a very developed, advanced system. I'm just giving broad brushstrokes here. But there's more to say about the cycles of the humors that they go through, how our food contributes to the excessive or deficiency of the humors, and again, the cycles of our lifetime, how we can work with these, acknowledging when a humor is more naturally elevated than at another time. So I'll go into those things in another video, but first, just as an introduction to the 3 humors, and to understand that they're always present, and they're actually kind of thought of in Tibetan medicine as the seed for disease, because they're completely dependent on all these other conditions, and it's quite easy to throw them out of balance, this is like the unmanifested disease is always there, ready at any moment to become manifested if you give the right conditions. But we have a lot of empowerment here because we know the things that throw the humors out of balance, and therefore we can also know how to get them back in balance using meditation and putting ourselves in certain conditions and eating certain foods and etc., etc. So that's it for our introduction to the three humors: wind, bile, and phlegm. And I hope that you can find some balance in the humors and keep that anger, attachment, and ignorance in check. So thank you so much for your time and attention, most valuable resource. I hope you found some benefit, and you can learn more about me and the Tibetan healing movement practices that I share over at my website, which is called TibetanHealingMovement.com. I'd love to see you over there. Okay, take care.